Fall Fun Fact.
Did you know that scarecrows have been used for over 3,000 years to scare birds away from crops? Now you know.
It's draw time with Mr. Mayberry. Time to draw.
Hi, I'm Mr. Mayberry. Welcome to Draw Time with Mr. Mayberry, Falltime Edition. It's harvest week on fall time, so we're drawing things that have to do with the fall harvest. Today I'm going to show you how to draw a scarecrow. So let's get started. It's time to draw.
Okay, I've got my paper turned horizontal, and I'm just using a regular pencil to draw. And today I'm going to start off by sketching out where everything will go, and then I'll go back and add detail to it. So I'm going to start up towards the top and make a circle for where the head will be, just very light and loose. This will change as we go, so don't make it too dark. Start off kind of light. Then I'm going to put where the arms will be sticking out. I'm going to make a line that curves across like this. And then the wrist, and then the bottom of the arm. I'm going to curve into where the body is. And then the shirt comes down like this, and it'll be gathered here in the center with a belt. But I'm going to make the bottom of the shirt kind of stick out just a little, slant out on each side, and then a curve down below here like this for the bottom of the shirt. And then the pants below this. Something like this. Notice I started underneath where the shirt is on the left side, and then on the right side I end up under where the shirt is over here. Also, I made the bottom of the pant legs a little narrower. You can design these different if you'd like. And then, so this is the basic design here. Let's go back up to the top. I'm going to add a hat on top of this. So I'm going to make a curved line here. This is just an old straw hat. Most of the time scarecrows are put together with old clothes and things that you're not currently using, because again, it's just to scare birds away. It's not so that you can use the old stuff. And so that's what they do. Okay, the sides of the straw hat are going to slant in here, and then there's actually, let's draw the rest of the shape of the hat. It slants up on this side and this side and connects at the top. And at this point I think I'll go ahead and erase where the hat overlaps the head. Okay, and then there's a band that goes across the hat band. So I'm going to make a line here and one about here. And I'm going to make it extend out just a little farther than the edge of the hat, because I want it to make it look like it wraps around the hat. And so by doing just a little tiny bit out past the edge, then it gives it that extra dimension, like it's actually wrapping around the hat. It goes beyond the edge. It's okay if your lines are not perfectly straight on this. That even adds to the fact that this is all old and been out in the weather, kind of rough looking. Then the bottom of the hat here on the outside, I'm going to start here at the point and curve in. And then this makes it look like it wraps around the head. So I'll do that on both sides. It stops where the head is. And then I'm going to make, on the hat band itself, it's in rough shape too, so I'm going to add a patch. This scarecrow will have patches all over it. I'm going to make about 4 of them. And we'll put one here. I've got a square that's kind of tilted like a diamond. Now if you're using color later, you can make the patch a different color than what's the cloth is of the hat band. But I'm going to make a crisscross pattern here on this, so it looks like it's a different piece of material. And then around the edge, just little short lines like stitching that go over the edge, inside the patch and then outside, just so you can, looks like it's stitched on. And anytime we do a patch, we'll do something similar to that. Okay, the hat, the straw hat itself, I'm going to put some lines on it that give it some more of a three-dimensional quality. I'm going to make lines that kind of radiate out. They kind of follow this outside slant as it gets to the outside edge. And then they're more straight up and down in the middle. I'm going to continue that up here. And then make a line that goes across it that follows the contour of the hat, of the brim, the bottom brim of the hat here, the brim. Okay, like that. And then up at the top they curve. They kind of match the curve at the top of the hat. Okay, and I want to shade inside the hat here just a little bit. Again, it adds some depth, makes it look like it goes back into space, and it makes your drawing look more three-dimensional. Okay, on the face, I'm going to add buttons for eyes, so I'm making two circles. Now, you could come up with another idea, that would be neat. I thought buttons would work really good for this. Again, just the kind of homemade, the idea it's a homemade mannequin that has one purpose, and that's to scare away birds so that they don't eat the crops. Okay, I'm going to draw the outside edge here darker. This is supposed to be like a, it would be, normally they'd use like a gunny sack or some kind of a burlap bag to make the head out of. So this is going to be kind of a rough looking material. And the buttons, I'm going to draw another circle inside the outside circle for the inside of a button, and then two buttonholes. And you'd either do 2 or 4. I'm going to do 2. Again, these buttons could be different colors also. They wouldn't have to be exact same color, or one could be one the other. I think I want to shade them in just a little so they're different than the color, the shading of the face. Since I'm just shading this in, I want to have different degrees of values. Some things light, some things dark, and some things in between. So that's kind of what I'm doing there. Okay, I'm going to give this Scarecrow a triangle nose. It's like a patch that's sewn on. So it's just the shape of a triangle. And I think I'll put 3 little stitching lines on each side. So 3 there, 3 here. Just little short lines. Half of them are on the inside and half over the outside. Okay, so that's how the nose is attached. Now there is, usually on these kind of things, the bag would be gathered at the neck, and so the rest of the bag would be sticking down here below, the rest of the burlap bag. And so that's what we've got here. I'm going to add a little bit of shading. I don't actually see the rope or whatever's used to gather the neck. I don't see that on there, so I'm just going to put shading. And then I'm going to make lines on the face similar to what I did on the hat, just a little wider grid. And I want them to kind of follow the contour of the face, so they're going to kind of curve Now that almost looks like a pumpkin, but I'm going to change it here just a little bit. But that gives you the idea, though. You can make a pumpkin for a head, but also about how far to put those lines apart. And then I'm going to do the same thing the other way. Put lines that follow the contour, the outside curve of the face. The face is like a sphere, and so that makes it look like it's more rounded when I do that. And I am going to put a mouth. And for the mouth, though, I'm just using stitching. So I'm going to make lines, segmented lines that have a little space between them, and then make them curve so that this one is smiling. I'm making this, even though he's supposed to be scary and scare the crows, I'm going to make him a happy scarecrow. He's smiling. And then the last touch for the face here, there's straw coming out of the hat for hair. So I'm going to make some strands of straw like hair just sticking out. You might go over the eye just a little bit, sticking out to the sides. And you could put as much or as little straw as you'd want. But the idea is to make it look like it's hair and at the same time straw or hay. Okay, the arms, again, this is like an old shirt, so you can make it look kind of raggedy. It's supported in the back, either there's a pole inside of the shirt or it's attached to a pole in the back, so that's how the arms stay straight out. And I made the edge of the cuff here a little torn and a little rough, and then I'm going to make a line here that curves for the other side of the cuff. Same thing on this side. Darken these lines because they're where I want them to be. I think on this side I'll just make some lines that curve for the outside cuff. This one's not as torn as that other one was. You could even put buttons, like the sleeve's been buttoned. And straw coming out where the hands would be. Okay, I'm going to darken these lines. I'm going to actually make a little bit of a curve here like it's bulging. He's full of straw. The body's been filled out with straw. And so I'm going to make the shirt poof out just a little. And then the belt. Draw a belt. Just a rope or a piece of cloth or ribbon or something that's been wrapped around for a belt, and then maybe it's knotted here in the middle, so I'm going to make a circle for a knot, and then a couple strands hanging down, so one there, one maybe over at an angle this way. Okay, and then I'm going to make a line down the center of the shirt. You could even have some gaps here with some straw bursting out there. Maybe the straw is sticking out in between the buttons. I'm just going to leave it like that. And I am going to put 3 black circles here for buttons, or 3 dark circles. The shirt's buttoned up. And I think also I'll put a patch over on this side. Again, this one's turned at an angle. They don't have to be perfect squares. You could make them an odd shaped patch, but the idea is it's old cloth that's been that's why it's being used, is because it's old, but it's patched up. And I think for this one I'll have a crisscross pattern on it. Again, you could put other kind of material designs on there. The idea is that it's a different piece of cloth than what the rest of it is, so it stands out as being different. I'm going to put 3 stitch lines on each side. And then the bottom of the shirt, I'm going to make it look like it's wrapped around the body there, so I can make this little curve here. that will go around the back edge of the pants. And then where the center of the shirt is, I'm going to separate this just a little so you can see there's two parts that have come together. And then this curves over to this side. And I think I'll go ahead and I'm going to darken in my shirt just a little so it stands out as being different cloth than the top. It stands out as a different part of this character. Wouldn't want all the pieces to be exactly the same color. If it's all just blank, then it doesn't look as interesting. So I'm going to shade in the shirt just different than I have the other things. Could put a couple odd pieces of straw coming out underneath the neck here too. And then also sticking out maybe from under the shirt, just a few pieces on the edge here of straw. Okay, now I'm down to the trousers here, to the pants. So I'm going to just darken them. I think the bottom edge, you could either make it ragged, or I've just made this more of a straight edge. Maybe this is an old pair of blue jeans, or it could even be dress pants that they're no longer good enough to be worn by a person, so we might use them for this. Okay, so I'll make that darken. And then usually the knees are the first thing to go on pants. Sometimes the seat as well, but the knees. So I'm going to put two patches here on the knees. And then just to make it a little different, I'll make this one have polka dots on this patch. There's one thing, living out on the farm, we wear out clothing out working sometimes, and my grandmother was always good to patch up clothing, and my mom did too some, but my grandmother always would put patches on her knees or elbows. A lot of times those are places that wear out on work clothes. Okay, so patches on the knees, some straw coming out down here where the feet would normally be. Okay, being made out of straw, the straw man is not strong enough just to stand up on its own. It has to be supported. So this is up. Also, a lot of times I'll put it up higher above the crop, above the corn. If it's usually a lot of times that's where you'll see these in gardens or in fields. So it's up on a pole so that it can be seen by the crows and scare them away. So I'm drawing a pole that this would normally go up the back, and then there would be a support piece across this way as well. Okay, one last step. I'd like to draw a line across the back. This is going to make it look like it's actually someplace and not just out in the middle of emptiness. So now they call that a horizon line. That's where it's an imaginary line where the sky and the earth meet. So this is the horizon line. You can make it look like it's in a field, add flowers if it's a field of flowers, or corn or some other crop. And then you could even draw a crow sitting on his shoulder. Sometimes they don't always work, and maybe it's a little too friendly to scare the crows. So go ahead and clean up your drawing. Add color if you'd like. And this is our drawing for today, a scarecrow. Well, now that you know how to draw a scarecrow, why don't you go outside and take some pictures of birds? And you can use these pictures as a reference to draw some birds for your scarecrow to scare away. Well, that's all for now. Thank you for taking time to draw with me. I hope you'll come back again, and remember, if you want to be a good artist, do a little drawing every day.
That's beautiful.
Bah! You know, I think it's a lot easier to scare a crow.